My temptation is to take that Texas Longhorn back. Actually, I like to have a little one that I can raise up, and when I go out to the field and say, hey, it comes running and licks my hand. Love it. Always have. Since I was a little kid, loved him. What we miss out of what's here, if we don't read it correctly, is this is the family pet. This isn't just this guy's lamb that he's raising up to feed his family with. This is the family pet. It lives in the house. It sits at the table. It eats the food. They pet it. They sleep with it. They hold it. They cuddle it. This is the family pet. And the man takes it and turns it into dinner for a guy that doesn't need it. Now, the reason Nathan used this is because David is a shepherd who got it. You know, when I was working down in Grenada and Trinidad, they had dogs down there, but they don't have dogs as pets. They have dogs as security. They don't bring the dog into the house and lay it on the carpet next to the fireplace. They don't pet their dogs. They don't throw the ball for their dogs. Their dogs are not pets. It made me crazy. And I go over to somebody's house and the dog would come running to me. And they, what's her name? Janine. She'd say, he doesn't ever do that. I said, that dog knows that I'm going to pet him. He likes it. You're supposed to pet the dog. No, you're not. That's security. So I understand David. You see, David wasn't just a shepherd. David wasn't just the man that was out shepherding the field and shepherding the flocks and taking care of the sheep as a business. He loved those sheep. Got them named. And he petted them. And I would imagine while he was sleeping in the gate, he had some that were around him. And he got up in the morning, he was probably just as crazy as I was. You know, I go out here and I talk to the cows. Hey, cow, how you doing? David got what Nathan was saying. David got it. Because he was the shepherd that loved his sheep. And he went, oh no, what have I done? And here is the important part. In verse 13, so David said to Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said to David, the Lord also has put away your sin. You shall not die. However, he's going to have ramifications. David said, I have sinned. Nathan turned around and says, God has put away your sin. You shall not die. And that's how easy it is. David stole the woman. He got her pregnant out of adultery. He killed her husband. He conspired. He kidnapped. And he said, I have sinned. And God said, you're forgiven. That's not the way man likes to make it work, is it? God forgives a whole lot easier than we forgive. You know, we're going to find out, just like the Apostle Paul, David similarly, didn't let it go that easy. You know, Saul, when he was with Saul of Tarsus, he murdered. And later on, decades later in his life, he still struggled with that. But to God, it was white as snow. How can we be a man after God's own heart? Through grace, through the blood of Jesus Christ that we come into contact with, through the contract that we have with God, the new covenant, that says no matter what we've done, no matter how bad it is, no matter how stupid it is, you can have forgiveness. And you too can be a man after God's own heart. But where does it start? I like bookends. Bookends in writing is when you start and you finish with the same thing. And we're going to go right back to the beginning. It starts with a love for the Word. It starts with a love for the Word. It starts with a love for God and a love for the creation and love for what He's done for us. We're getting ready to memorialize, as we do each week, the death, the burial, the resurrection of Christ. That should be passionate to us. That should be important to us. This has got to be important to us. If you're on YouTube, pick it up. Don't leave it on the coffee table. God did not give this to stick it on the coffee table in our home so when people come in and look at it, they see, oh, they've got a Bible. They're holy. It doesn't get there from osmosis. My high school driving teacher says if you want to learn how to pass the test and get your driver's license, you can't take this manual, this driving manual, and stick it on top of your head and get it through osmosis. You got to open up and read it. A love for the Word. And it's so fascinating. There's so much beauty in there. So many things. And the more you get into it, the more you do. The love for the Word, a love for the creation, a love for who God is, how great our God, He is alive. There is, beyond the azure blue, a God concealed from human sight. That's your lesson this morning. We don't know the hearts and the minds of those that are here. We know that we each struggle at different times with different things. But we can be a man after God's own heart. If there's anything you need, come forward as we stand and sing.